Yeah, I plan to be around for a very long time in this industry. Um, I'm going to keep probably pushing forward. I plan to go get my HVAC license probably pretty soon. Go back for more licensing. Looking into possibly getting into the solar industry whenever it catches up, because right now I just don't believe it's where it needs to be on the roofing side of things. So, there's always room to grow in this industry, and I think we'll try to fill as many of those spots as possible.
Welcome everyone to another episode of The Story of You. We have today with us special guest, Brandon Human, just like human being. And Brandon is with Steel Hammer Roofing and Construction. Welcome, Brandon.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for taking time out of your day to meet with me and just allow me and our viewers to get to know you a little bit better. So why don't you tell us exactly what Steel Hammer Roofing Construction does?
So we are mostly a roofing company at the moment, but I am also a GC, and I take on GC work here and there for either private sector or for government entities. We are a government set-aside company, so our bread and butter is government work.
Nice. So you are actually the license holding general contractor for the company?
That's correct.
That's excellent. Well, congratulations on that. That is quite the accomplishment, and I look forward to hearing more about it as we talk today. So why don't you take us back, to your childhood? Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Titusville, Florida. That's where I'm actually stationed out of here as far as our home office. And we operate right here, but we do service all of Central Florida and most of Florida as far as commercial and GC work goes. But we are stationed right here out of where I grew up.
Excellent. Well, it's nice to be close to home, I would think.
Yeah.
Also, I'll bet you have a lot of connections having grown up in that area and now working there as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what was it like growing up in Titusville?
Loud. We got the rockets going off constantly over here. So it is a little bit of hustle and bustle, but yet it's still a small town. So it's kind of that in between little Goldilocks spot here in Florida. Close enough to the beach, but not too far away.
Good point. Good point. So in Titusville, you did you go to high school there?
I did. Yes, I went to Titusville High School here.
And how would you describe yourself in high school? Were you the jock? Were you the alternative guy? Were you the band geek? The straight A student? What kind of person were you in high school?
I'm more of a floater, to be honest. I played sports. I hung out with the geeky crowd because I played video games. I kind of hung out with everyone a little bit here and there. I was into martial arts as a kid, so played almost every sport there is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you are someone who can get along with a lot of different types of people.
Yeah, I tend to get along with everyone if I can. Some people just can't.
And I'll bet that has served you well in growing a business that you can relate and adapt to communicating with different types of people with different types of personalities.
Yeah, absolutely. The first rule of business is that it is personal.
Absolutely. Well, that's great. So you mentioned martial arts. Is that something that you pursued or just sort of a temporary endeavor?
So I actually did martial arts, Kempo, for 4 years as a child, and actually got my black belt. I was the youngest black belt in the United States in Kempo whenever I was 12, and I actually moved on to Taekwondo shortly after getting my black belt there, and moved my way up all all the way through Taekwondo.
So black belt in Taekwondo as well?
Yes. But by that time I was already 15. So
Well, already 15. That's still very young to have obtained 2 black belts. That is quite impressive. So, so it sounds to me like you are a person who, when you set your mind to something, you follow through to the end.
for the most part, yeah.
That's very telling about your character, that you, when you began your martial arts, you did not stop until you reached the highest level of mastery. And then you went and found the next thing to work your way up and become the highest level of mastery, and at a very young age. So it seems like you are a go-getter, an ambitious person, and someone who sticks with your keeps your word and sticks with your the things that you're committed to.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's a wonderful character trait, obviously. So you work your way up as a black belt in 2 different martial arts, and then at some point, I suppose you transition over into the professional field. How'd you get into the construction arena?
So I'm second generation. My father is a general contractor and commercial roofing contractor, much like myself. So I grew up out on the job sites collecting materials and picking up trash, moving up through the ranks of becoming a framer, a roofer, taking on a lead position, becoming a project manager. I never got handouts because dad was the boss. So I've worked my entire life and made something of myself doing so.
That was exactly where my mind was headed when you said that your dad was a contractor. Some people would assume that you got to jump right to the head of the company. So
Absolutely.
no, you had to pay your dues.
Yep.
And do you find that that helped you when it came time for you to start your own business?
Absolutely. I had a lot of background knowledge and wisdom from the industry. I took my test, passed them the first time. I'd say I was very well prepared to turn around and start my own company. I didn't take over my father's company. I started my own. He's still in business to this day. We're soft competitors at this point. So, but yeah, I worked my way up through the construction industry. Obviously, we already had our subcontractors here that we've worked with for many years. So one of the reasons why I didn't leave Titusville was that a lot of our subs are based right out of here. A lot of government work just right over top of the bridge over on the NASA side for us. So yeah, I've been in this industry for quite some time, although the company's only been in business for 3 years now.
Well, you don't seem like you're old enough to have been in business for decades. How old are you?
I'm 33. I'm actually the youngest general contractor in the state of Florida and most of the country, from what I've been told.
Wow. Well, congratulations. It's not often that I meet people who have accomplished so much at such a young age. So congratulations for that.
Thank you very much.
And also, I think it's also, if I'm understanding correctly, it seems like you are the kind of person who likes challenges. I mean, you had the opportunity, I would assume, to partner with your dad and his business where he's had years of growth to get to a point of success. And rather than partnering with him and taking advantage of those years of success, you chose to start over. And I've got to believe that would have been the much more challenging path, but that you weren't deterred by that challenge.
Very much so more rewarding in the end for me to build up my own company and not take anything from my father's success other than my own wisdom that I've gained from being near him, next to him, growing up. So to start my own business, I can say I haven't taken any handouts, and we're doing pretty well. I'd say that, but as far as growth wise, I've definitely surpassed him at this point.
Wow. Well, congratulations on that. That's just very admirable and frankly very rare. It would seem like the obvious choice to partner with a successful parent to carry on the family business, but instead you now have two successful family businesses. So um, that's very admirable and impressive. So tell us a little bit more about Steelhammer Roofing and Construction. We know that you've been in business for 3 years, that you are the youngest general contractor in the state of Florida. And so just tell us kind of what type of work you handle, and in case someone has a need for any of your services, let them know what type of work you would be able to take on for them.
Sure. So we are a residential roofing contractor. Obviously we're a commercial roofing contractor. We're a triple C, but the bulk of my work is residential work in Central Florida here. We're an Owens Corning preferred contractor. Very few contractors are preferred. So we are often able to offer those extended warranties. We're also commercial, or you can take on any commercial job in the state of Florida as far as commercial roofing goes. And for general contracting, for the most part, we only do new builds. The way COVID has been going and the supply chain issues, it's been very difficult to take on existing building structures at the moment. So new builds are kind of where we've been staying at the moment.
Excellent. So, so then the type of people who would be best fitted to contact you would be developers building new.
Yeah, developers, welcome to contact us. Anyone that happens to have a house that they own and roof doesn't look like it's in the best shape, we'll come take care of it for you.
Okay. So even though you do a lot of new builds, if someone has an existing home with a need for a re-roof, then that'd be something you could help them with.
Absolutely.
And I'll bet your phone is ringing off the hook right now with all of the hurricane damage.
Yeah, well, we chose not to chase it. We stayed right here in Brevard County. Actually, we got hit pretty hard over here, surprisingly, being on the opposite side of the state. But I think some of those bands really tore through. And I've just been nonstop servicing our local market.
Yeah, it was surprising to me, frankly, that I do a lot of storm insurance type work. And so I get these alerts on my phone and my email of wind speeds when there's high wind speeds anywhere in the state of Florida. And I got, of course, the alerts along the West Coast, which was expected because that's right where the eye made landfall. But the next highest wind alerts that I got were on the East Coast. And that was so surprising to me because ordinarily you would expect that by the time the storm makes it across the state to the East Coast, that those winds would have died down significantly. And those were the second highest wind alerts that I got. So the East Coast really did, as you said, get hit hard by Hurricane Ian.
Yeah.
So outside of work, what type of things do you like to do?
I like to work on motorcycles. I have a 1960 Panhead right now on a hardtail frame. In the middle of building that one, I built a couple of other custom motorcycles. I have 86 Chevy Stepside that I in the office actually here I've been working on. While not doing any of the office work, I take my free time and go over there and tinker on my truck, get that thing running. But I do a lot of motorcycles, cars, and I shoot a lot of guns.
Okay, so in addition to learning the construction trade growing up, you must have had some education in mechanics as well.
Yep.
To have the skill set to be able to work on motorcycles. When did you have time to learn about mechanics?
Just on my downtime. My father always had a fleet of muscle cars that he worked on his downtime. So I grew up in the muscle car industry. We go to SEMA, we go to Turkey Rod Run up here in Daytona. We actually have some vendor spots that we use for the company. But yeah, I grew up working on cars. Now the motorcycle side, I kind of got into on my own, just kind of tinkering around. I got into riding motorcycles and figured out that I knew enough about vehicles that I could fix my own bike, and kind of went from there. Started just working on building my own custom bikes.
Wow. So it sounds like your father was a really influential person in your life.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you've in a lot of ways followed in his footsteps, made your
Mhm.
own path, but also um followed in his footsteps in the general career path and some of your hobbies. Um and then the shooting of the guns, is that something that you started doing with your dad as well?
Yeah, well, he was a Marine, and I was Army. I was infantry. So the two of us, we always go back and forth about Marines and Army and who can shoot better and all that. So, we're always out at the range playing around.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's
big into shooting.
so it sounds like you two are still very close.
Yeah, that's why I
That's
say we're soft competitors.
it sounds like you probably compete in not just business,
Yeah.
but in a lot of areas. He must be so proud of you that you have, I know as a parent myself that we want our children to surpass us in life. And so he is probably overwhelmingly pleased and proud with the successes that you have had, and carried on what he started.
I hope to pass it on to my son. I have a 4-year-old right now, and he's going to grow up same as I did, with the construction industry and motorcycles and cars, and they're all willed to him one day. So, you know,
Yeah. Has your son expressed an interest yet in any of those fields?
yeah, he likes construction. He sees our advertising everywhere. We have billboards, and he'll point out that, oh, that's Daddy's company. So, yeah, I
Yeah.
think he's definitely going to be interested growing up in it a little bit more.
He probably
Even
thinks
than
you're
I
famous, huh? Does he
did.
think you're famous?
Yeah, maybe. Hard to tell what he's thinking sometimes, but yeah.
That's got to be a great feeling that your son um sees your success and already is wanting to follow in your footsteps. So that's amazing. So it sounds like you have made a ton of accomplishments, achieved a ton of accomplishments in really a short period of time. And the sky is the limit, right? I mean, you have reached major feats and accomplishments in a lot of different arenas, both construction and business and um athletics, just all types of fields. So where is this all heading? What's your plan or your goals for the future?
Hopefully an early retirement. But no, just
You're tired of working hard?
no, not at all. Honestly, I don't know anything better. I'd probably still work hard in retirement. Um, but nonetheless, yeah, I plan to be around for a very long time in this industry. Um, I'm going to keep probably pushing forward. I plan to go get my HVAC license probably pretty soon. Go back for more licensing. Um, Looking into possibly getting into the solar industry whenever it catches up, because right now I just don't believe it's where it needs to be on the roofing side of things. So, um, there's always room to grow in this industry, and I think we'll try to fill as many of those spots as possible.
Nice, nice. So bright future ahead. You're still young. You've got years and years to grow. Um, what I had a question for you and I just lost it. So the shoot, it was a good question too. I can't remember what I was going to say, but you have all kinds of opportunity ahead of you. Oh, I remember now. If you were able to retire early, what would you do in retirement? How would that look for you to have a happy retirement?
To be honest, I wouldn't even know. I've worked so hard most of my life, I wouldn't even know how to relax at this point. I would most likely start another business. So
So not really a retirement at all.
no, no, honestly, I actually collect disability from the VA because I was injured in combat, and I was technically retired before I ever started this company. So
Mm.
I have just continued on working, and that's about where I'm at. I'll probably work till I die.
Well, thank you for your service.
No problem.
And especially for your service in combat. Um, that is very admirable and a major sacrifice for our country. So thank you sincerely for serving our country in that way. So I'll lighten the subject a little bit as we start to wrap it up. But what's your favorite movie?
I'd say probably Fight Club.
Okay.
Brad Pitt fan. I've always liked his movies. My wife absolutely hates him, but
How
I've
can
always liked his
how can
movies.
any woman hate Brad Pitt? Like,
Oh, I don't
I
know.
don't- I like Brad Pitt too.
Yeah.
And so what resonates with you about the Fight Club that makes that your favorite movie?
Honestly, I think it's just maybe the raw anarchy of the movie as far as breaking away from society's hold on those particular characters there. They kind of break away from society. They do their own thing. Um, I don't know. It kind of resonates for whatever reason.
Is that how you see yourself or how you hope?
Yeah, it never really fit in with society. Unfortunately, it's I don't know, one of those things.
Okay. Okay. So, so remind me, because I haven't seen Fight Club in a while.
Yeah.
They're kind of not fitting in with society, and then they have a battle or a fight, or like
Yeah,
what's the
they create an underground fight club, and it
yeah.
starts to grow out of control over the whole U.S. and I guess most of the country, if I had to guess, or most of the world, if I had to guess. They don't go into it in the plot of the movie, but it's this fight club goes out of control and becomes some organization, and it's against society in general. And I guess the whole plot of the movie was fight the establishment.
Okay. All right. So you are an outside of the box thinker, someone who does not just conform to the expectations of society and who isn't afraid to stand out and for things that you believe in.
Yeah,
That's
I like to
fair.
carve my own path in life.
Excellent. Well, I think we've got a really good idea of who you are and where you're going and what's important to you. And I for one am excited to see where this takes you, because you have already accomplished so much. And to have already accomplished so much at this age tells me you're just getting started. And so I can't wait to see how these years develop in your future, and what happens with your son, right? As you teach and train him in these ways, to see how he carries on in your footsteps as well. So, any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
No, not really. Um,
Okay.
Give us a call.
Absolutely. So this is Brandon Human again with Steel Hammer Roofing and Construction. What's the best way for someone to find you if they'd like to reach out to you?
Steelhammerconstruction.com.
Steel
That's
Hammer
our website.
Construction. Got it. Steelhammerconstruction.com will have I'm assuming your phone number and contact information.
Yep,
Okay.
absolutely everything you need there. You can fill out a form if you need us to come out and do an assessment or anything.
Perfect. Well, thank you again for the sacrifice of your time today, and for being open and candid about yourself and allowing us to get to know you just a little bit. So, absolutely. It's been my pleasure. And with that, I will go ahead